We're going to get real today. We're going to talk about one word that we might hear all the time, a word that might not make a lot of sense because a lot of people have different definitions for it, but I'm going to lay it out in a very easy to understand way that will be comprehensible by anyone listening. And that word is potential. And it's a scary word. It's a scary word for 99% of people who aren't actively living up to their potential. And listen, I'm not perfect. There's days where I do sit down for 4 or 5 hours. I'll binge watch Netflix. I'll play PS5, whatever it might be. But it's very far and few between because I have this conscious thing in my mind that says I'm spending time here on this thing that doesn't bring me value when I could be spending that time on a Facebook Live, when I could be spending that time bringing value to other people, when I could be spending that time improving my life in some way, some form, some fashion. So what does potential mean to you? And this is going to get very real because the whole outcome of this is to help you recalibrate where you currently are in your life. And it's to help you step up to a different position in your life that you might have been at before, you might not have ever been. Really, the whole purpose of me even talking to you at any point is to help give you maybe a strategy or technique that you can use to live a better life. But more importantly, it's to help you to become a greater version of yourself. This YouTube channel, this Facebook feed, wherever you're watching this right now, this is not for every single person. And I'm sure you've gathered that if you've been following my content for a long time. I say things like it is. I'll tell you like it is because that's the only way that you're really going to take it away and use it in order to live a better life. And the fact is 99% of people are not living up to their potential. 99% of people have an idea of what they want, maybe when they were younger, when they're in their 20s, 30s, whatever it might be, and they never execute on that idea. It might be because of fear. It could be because of obstacles. The reality is every single one of you watching this has something really special about you. You have some kind of gift, technique, ability, natural talent that you could use to really help a lot of people. But 99% of people aren't doing that. And this is the thing that I want to ask you. I want you to inspect your daily life, inspect the actions that you're doing every single day. And ask yourself, are they the same actions that everybody else is doing? Are you doing the same things on the rat race, like on the wheel, just going back and forth? It looks like you're walking, but you're really going in a circle as you're being observed by the outside observers, just like the rat on the wheel with people watching the rat talking about the rat. Are you doing the same things as every other person around you? Because if you're doing the same things as the other people around you, you're probably not doing the right things. And when I say the right things, again, this is for the 1% that I reach with my audience, which is people who are driven, people who want to achieve more, people who want to continue to improve from today until the day that they die. So a question that I have for you right now is this. What is stopping you from being who you want to be? What is stopping you from achieving these big goals that you might have? And if you don't have any goals, what is stopping you from creating them? You know, I know a lot of people who even went to college and they graduated with a degree and they graduate and they're looking for jobs and they're only looking for jobs in their specific field, right? And they're not finding them. They're wondering why they're not finding jobs because they just got their degree. They just did this thing. They just practiced for all this time, but they're not finding what they want. And their pride is up here. Their ego is up here. They will not accept anything that's beneath them. To give you an idea, I worked in a sales job, and I still do, where we sell things. Like we're selling every single day of our life. But it's funny because some outside people look down on sales. Some outside people walk in and they're like, oh, these guys make like $10 an hour. These guys make like $12 an hour. Well, they're absolutely wrong because a lot of these sales people with no degree, people who might have had no experience, some of these people are coming into this company and they're making $80,000 to $100,000. Some of them are making $130,000 selling the things that they sell. And I'm not going to go into a ton of detail here about what that is. But people look at them and they say, oh, you don't have the education. Oh, this person, 18 years old, he must be struggling. He must be making minimum wage, right? He must not have any idea what he wants for his life. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people who are there, they don't even have any idea what they want to do, but at least they're making good money in the process. The real question is, what is stopping you from becoming who you want to become and what you want to achieve? Is it this story that you're not good enough? Is it this obstacle that got in your way and caused you to quote unquote fail so you completely stop to take action? What is stopping you from doing what it is you want to do? And you might be listening and saying, I'm not being stopped by anything. And you know what? To that person, hell yeah, that's awesome. I'm really happy for you. And I want you to keep listening anyway, because I have something for you specifically at the end, which will help you to take yourself to the next level of your game. But the reality is there's a lot of people listening right now who make a lot of freaking excuses. There's a lot of people listening who they'll wake up at like, I don't know, 10 a.m. and they'll be like, oh, I didn't have time to get anything done today. And it's like, well, obviously you didn't have time to get anything done. You woke up at 10 a.m., right? Real people who are in that 1%, they were up at 6 a.m. getting things done, right? And you might say, well, Brandon, I've got a family. Brandon, I've got kids I got to take care of. How am I supposed to reach my goals if I've got my family, if I've got my kids, if I've got my job? Listen, time is going to pass no matter what it is you do, right? You have a family now. You've got children now. That's amazing. And a lot of people are going to say, well, my ultimate goal is to make sure that my family lives a great life. That's incredible. Now, a lot of people get sucked into this thing where they put all of their attention there. They put all of their attention into making sure that their kids have the best life possible, and that's incredible. But what about your life? What about what you're here to do? Do you want to wait until your kid's 20 and then you're 40 or 50 or maybe even 60 or even older, depending on when you have kids? Do you want to wait until you're that old to then begin working on your dreams? Will you make the excuse of family and not enough time and, oh, the circumstances are down, oh, the weather's bad, oh, maybe I'll start next year, oh, I can't do this during the pandemic? Will you continue to make excuses? Or will you instead ask yourself the question, what can I do right now in order to take one step towards this goal that I'm going after? What can I do right now in order to make one small improvement in my being that will help me to be the person that I was meant to be? There's this guy named Ed Mylett. And if you haven't heard of Ed Mylett, you got to look him up. He's worth several $100 million, but it's not even the point. I mean, the point is he's extremely healthy. He's got an amazing family life. He's got the finances. He's got the financial freedom. He's got all of these different key areas of life that he has on lock, and he continues to work on every single day. And Ed Mylett says, even though his life looks amazing from the outside in, Ed Mylett says he knows that one day when he dies, he is going to be confronted with the version of himself that he could have been. And imagine this. Imagine you're at the end of your days and you die, because the reality is time is passing by and time is going to continue passing by. And you're at the end of your days and you're confronted with the version of yourself that had everything that you could have achieved. They were everything that you could have been. And you're confronted with this version of yourself. Do you want to be as close as possible to that version? Or do you want to be completely off? Do you want to be far off from that ideal vision? Can you imagine if you were far off and you meet that version of yourself and they just look at you and they just say, what happened, bro? Why do you look like that? Why did you struggle like that? Why did you spend your money like that? Why were you eating those foods? Why did you not take care of your body? Oh, well, ideal version of myself. I just didn't have the time to do that. The circumstances were right. In 2020 and 2021, there was a pandemic. I couldn't do that. And you know what? That ideal version of yourself would look at you, and number one, they'd be sad. They'd be sad that you didn't live up to who you could have been, but they would look at you and they'd say, if you had told yourself a different story about what was possible, then you would have been in a very, very different situation. So what is your story? With whatever you're doing right now, an employee, a business owner, a leader in a company continuing to grow, what is the story that you tell yourself for why you're not where you are? For me, the story used to be, well, I can't go to the gym because I don't know how to work out. And that story made it so I never even went on YouTube and took my phone that all of you have. You're probably watching this right now on a phone. And I didn't look up on YouTube workout routines. I didn't look up how to save money, how to invest my money, how to start a business. The answer to any of your questions The answer that can bring you from where you are now to wherever it is you want to go is right here. It's in your hand. It's called Google, and it's called YouTube, which is owned by Google. It's not called Netflix. It's not called surfing through your news stream. It's called knowledge. It's called looking up what you don't know, but not even just looking up what you don't know. It's called executing on what you now know in order to bring you into a different place. And let me tell you what, you living up to your potential and finally doing the things that you know you should do, it is going to be painful as hell. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be hard. You might even cry. You're going to sweat. You might even bleed, depending on what it is you're looking to do. But what's more painful? Putting in the work and becoming who you know you could be, or just waiting and waiting and waiting, and then looking back and saying to yourself, I could have been this, but because I didn't take action, now this is who I am. And listen, no matter how old you are, it's never too late to begin. But you know the old, I think it was a Chinese proverb, when's the best time to plant a tree? Well, 20 years ago or today. And if you're not where you want to be, today is one hell of a great day to start. Because I know that if you're watching this right now, you want more out of your life. I know if you're watching this, you have an idea of what you want, or you're just not quite sure how to create that idea of what you want. And if you're not sure, I've got like 20 videos on goal setting alone on my YouTube channel that you can go and watch. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put a link right up here to that playlist. Because I'm not some guru that just knows all these answers. I'm going through this right now myself. I'm going through these things on a daily basis. All I can share with you is what I've done, what I know to work, what I've learned from other people that has worked, and I can share with you what doesn't work. And let me tell you, what doesn't work is making these excuses that only hurts yourself. And if you've got a family, it hurts them too. So when you get to your final days and you meet that ideal version of yourself, what kind of interaction do you want that to be? And if you say to yourself, well, I'm not where I am because of some past traumatic experience that happened to me, understand that that is also part of your story. And really, how anything impacts you is based on the meaning that you give it. So if some terrible thing happened to you, and by the way, terrible things have happened to everybody. You're not alone. Your story isn't worse than the other person's story. And you might be listening and you're like, screw this guy. You don't know my story. But you know what? We all have a story. We all have things that have happened to us. The difference is some people still continue to strive to be their best. I watched an interview the other day with a girl who lost both of her legs. She was like a marathon runner. She was like a hiker. She did everything active outside that you could possibly do. And then something happened to her, or the way that she would say it is something happened for her to where she now had both of her legs amputated. And I think they took a hand as well. 99% of people would have just said, oh, this sucks. They'd take their wheelchair and they would go through their life and they would use that as a reason for never accomplishing what they wanted to accomplish. But this girl didn't do that. This girl asked herself the question, how can I continue to run these marathons and hike these mountains and go on these runs and walk with my family through the park? How can I continue to do these things that I used to love to do? And whenever you ask a question, your brain gives you an answer, which helps you find solutions to whatever question you asked. And she got prosthetic legs. And this girl, I wish I knew her name. This woman is an Olympic athlete, and she's got 2 prosthetic legs. I think she's actually a snowboarder as well. She's a very famous, well-known snowboarder. If you're into snowboarding, you probably know who I'm talking about. But excuses cut off every possible good thing that can happen for you. So really what I'm asking you is, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And what are you going to do? What are you going to sacrifice in order to make that a reality for yourself? And the question I have for you, and what I want you to do, and this is like the takeaway I have for you, what does an ideal life look like for you? Fast forward 10 years. What does this ideal life 10 years in the future look like? Where are you living? What's your family look like? What does your social circle of friends look like? What does your physical body look like? What do you feel like? What are you doing with your free time? What are your hobbies? What does an ideal, not even an ideal life, but what does an ideal day look like for you in the future? Because I know for me, I'm going to be waking up with the sun. The sun's going to be shining through the windows. There's going to be like panoramic windows because I love sunlight. I love having like an open floor plan and windows. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to walk outside and take a jog along the ocean every single morning. I'm going to wash off in the ocean. And some people say, you can't wash off in the ocean. Well, you can wash off some things in the ocean, and then you go inside and shower and wash off the rest. But I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to host live events with thousands of people. I'm going to have a select group of people that I personally coach. I'm going to help other people to share their message with the world so that they can make an impact as well, to grow their personal brand and share their unique story and gifts. I know exactly what my life is going to look like 20 years from now. I know exactly what a day in the life will look like. Might it look different once I get there? Well, of course. It might even look more of what I want it to be because I've learned what I like and what I don't like along the way. But the reality is you have no chance of creating that ideal day for yourself if you don't know what an ideal day even looks like. So when it comes to this day, a couple questions you can ask yourself is, what rituals or daily practices are going to be necessary for you during this ideal day? In order to be the person you want to be, what rituals do you have to incorporate into your life? Whether you have a family to take care of, whether you want to take care of your body, whatever it might be, what rituals are you incorporating into your everyday life in order to become the person you want to be? Is it a workout at this time in the day? Is it a live stream at this time of the day? Is it to create content? Is it to create a business plan? Is it to work on your business during these hours while you're working your job from these hours? Some people say, I can't start a business, Brandon. And I say, why can't you start a business? And they say, well, I don't have the time. And I say, well, why don't you have the time? And they say, I work a day job. And I say, well, yeah, I work a day job too. Yet I'm able to create this platform that I'm slowly growing over time so that I can live that ideal day that I want to live in the future. So you do have time because everyone's got the same 24 hours. Right? Those with more money are able to get more of their time because they're able to use more money in order to save more time. But even if you don't have a lot of money, you still have those 24 hours to do what you need to do in order to earn more money so that you can earn more of your time back. I know that was a lot, but the whole purpose of this is, where are you now compared to where you could be? Where are you now compared to where you want to be? What does an ideal day look like for you? What rituals must you incorporate into your life right now in order to make that a reality? And the biggest question here is, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to make this a reality? Because when you go to the gym and you put in an hour of your time, you're sacrificing an episode on Netflix. When you go and you buy the salad from Subway, instead of like the cheese and the steak and the sauce and the everything else you can add on there, when you get the salad, you're sacrificing the amazing taste that big foot-long sub could have had for you. You're sacrificing what those McDonald's fries could have tasted like. But what you want, your ideal situation, that's going to require sacrifice. It's going to require you to do things that you might not want to do in the moment in order to have what you want to have in the long term. So are you living up to your potential? And if not, what has to change in order for you to make that a reality? Now, in my digital book, Be Extraordinary, Your Guide to Self-Mastery, I talk about a ton of different strategies in the 5 key areas of life that you can use today in order to make progress in whatever that key area of life is for you, whether it's your emotions, your physical body, your relationships, your finances, your spirituality. That book talks about things that I personally used and still use in order to get as much done as I do, in order to be as productive, in order to be as fulfilled, doing what I love to do, sharing what I know, sharing what I believe my gifts are, and it can help you to do the same thing. I put the link in the description here. So click that, get your free digital copy, and live up to your potential. Because no matter how hard you're going at it right now, sometimes you don't even need to work as hard in order to get the result that you want. But I know if you're still listening to this, you are one of those 1% of people who want more from this life. And if you stay on the path, you keep putting one foot in front of the other, no matter what obstacles you encounter, I know that you'll get there. And I know that you might even get somewhere you didn't expect to be that's even better than that vision that you have for yourself right now.